All right, fashion dolls. Our next special guest is an activist and the host of The Word with the beautiful B Hawk Snipes. And she's also a part of the Circle ATL. I'm super excited to have this conversation with our beautiful, very special guest for today, Jewel the Gem. So let me go on ahead and share this live and let everyone know that we are on. We just got through with our interview with Andre Lamar. Make sure you guys please go and check it out. It will be uploaded to my YouTube channel. I'm going to send this to Jules so that she can just come right on in and we can get this conversation started, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me today, we have the beautiful Jewel the Gem. Let me add her. All right.
Here.
Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You look radiant.
Thank you, darling.
Oh my goodness,
Thank
it is such a
you.
pleasure to meet you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the fabulous Jewel the Gem. She is a part of the Circle ATL. She's an activist and she's also host of The Word with one of my faves, B Hawk Snipes. And we'll get
Yes.
into that. So, but before we get into that, it's Friday. It's Fierce Female Friday. We're going to have some girl talk. So we're going to be talking about three things. And
Okay.
when I first seen Jewel, I fell in love with you for one thing, and that was fighting for PB, police brutality. You
Yes.
and Martell were out there, and you were very, very vocal. And one thing you're also vocal about is protecting the black woman. That's something
Yes.
that I also talk about here on my platform as well, too. So
Right.
I said, oh, I resonate with her instantly. She's about
Mm-hmm.
fighting for the rights of people. So the first thing we're going to go into is protecting the black trans woman, because I am a woman of trans experience, and you've been very vocal about that on the show as well too. So could you tell the people that are watching how important it is? Because this year alone, 50 black trans women have lost their lives, and it's that number, just thinking about it is very, very difficult to fathom.
Right.
So what advice would you give to people who are looking to become allies, and not only that, but protect trans women?
Yeah. So, one, I want to say, thank you for having me on. Listen, for me, my support for the trans community is more than just protesting. It's when trans people, people of trans experience, trans women, trans femmes, when they're like, I need you to do this, I answer the call, right? Thank you so much for this conversation with you. Um, because this is where I need to be on a Friday, okay? For me, is in conversation with you. And honestly, when I think about the number, like you said, 50 people that we know of, is disheartening. And every single year, it seems to be getting worse and worse. And, a lot of my activism, when I think about, before I moved to Atlanta, being a New Yorker and doing activism in New York, specifically for and with the trans community, one, I want to say that it's really important for people like myself as a cisgender ally is to listen and to adhere to trans people. I would not be an activist within the community and have respect within the community if I did not openly make mistakes and if I did not openly put myself on the line to be willing to fuck up and learn from trans people. So my activism is not something that, I just woke up and just, felt was important. But when I remember going to a march in 2016, and it was called Trans Liberation Tuesday, that was led by Joshua Allen in New York, this amazing Black non-binary activist who at the time was 19 or 20 years old. And to see them and other activists really lead the charge and educate the community on what was happening, I knew that activism for me had to be following lead of Black trans people. So I just want to say that first, because I think that I get a lot of accolades and people are very much like, thank you so much, and I'm super grateful. But one, this is the work that cisgender people need to be doing. It's not something that we deserve cookies for. I've been awarded for it. And it wasn't until, most recently, B Hawk, who's in here, who has been talking about, naming being awarded. that I've been like, oh yeah, I've gotten awards since 2017, 2018 for my work within the trans community, but it's something that honestly everyone should be doing. So I just want to say that as well, because I feel like a lot of the times people feel like it's something that they do just because it sounds good. I do it because it is passionate to me. I do it because as a queer woman, I know that the history and the rights that I have as a queer woman would not be here if it wasn't for Marsha P. I
Come
know that
on.
if Black trans women weren't on the front lines fighting for the whole queer community, the L, the G, the B, the Q, the T, the I, the A, none of us would be able to be here. So I think it's just recognizing that and recognizing that it's not perfect, but you do it anyway. I am very much hated on the show for my activism, but once again, it's something that it's the least that I could do. I know that trans women and femmes and trans folks deal with way worse than I deal with. So if someone got to call me, oh, they hate me or whatever, it's cool, because I know that I'm dealing with the bare minimum when it comes to that.
Listen, I don't
Yeah.
hate you, girl. I fell in love with you. I said she's
I
speaking for
appreciate you.
something that I talk about all the time on my platform. Like just the other day, my co-host Marco, he's here, he knows this. I had to literally dig in Tory Lane's ass. Like, and y'all know why. The whole conversation with Meg Thee Stallion and things like that. You know, it's been very, very difficult to talk about protecting the black woman without us having our experiences being gaslit. And
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot whenever trans individuals, trans women come out and say that this has happened to me, or black cis women in general come out and say, you said you're in New York, and I heard about an incident, and I think it was in Harlem, where this woman was at the store. This was a black woman, and these men came around her, attacked her. Everybody just stood by and did absolutely nothing. So it just goes to show you that as black women, for both of us, for you, Jewel, being a cis black woman, and for me being a trans black woman, it's difficult. But these are the type of conversations that we need to be having,
Right.
because in order for us to educate and inform one another, we have to have these conversations. And Hope Giselle, shout outs to her. She said this when
Oh,
the
I
whole
love
Dave
Hope.
Chappelle. Yes, I had her on the show. She
Amazing.
she said this in one of the interviews when she was talking about the whole Dave Chappelle controversy. She said, hello, black skin. And I wish that people in society would see that black women, we are the most unprotected individuals on
Always.
the face of this earth.
Always
And it's
been.
like our backs are being broken when it's constantly y'all, the people out here, mainly the media, sometimes gaslighting and putting holes through our story, just like they did with Meg Thee Stallion or any other black woman that has experienced some sort of trauma or some sort of abuse, or just it's been dangerous all around for us. So, Jewel, I don't hate you here. It's all love here, girl, because it's been a hell of a year for the black woman in general. We've seen so much, even with some of the football players, and not to make it sound like we're male bashing or anything, but it's mostly the black, it's mostly some of these cis black men that have been the cause of the violence.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to say that, like, so I want to say that, like, one, I'm super grateful to hear that you don't, and I didn't think that you would. When I say that, it's more so just the community at large. I get so much love. I get so many love and DMs specifically from the trans community who are like, thank you so much. And once again, I'm like, it does, I don't feel like it requires a thank you, because I feel like everyone should be doing it. It should be normalized to support trans people. Um, and the thing is, for me, it's never about oppression Olympics. It's recognizing that we both, right, as black women, regardless of being cisgender or trans, are going to, we're at the bottom of the totem pole, right?
Hello.
It's acknowledging that. And it's also me acknowledging that if something was to happen to me today, the ways that people show up for me because I'm cisgender and because they're like, oh no, absolutely not. The way that I'm the way that I'm not misgendered, right? The way that the only time they want to talk about my gender is if I'm in direct allyship with trans people. But at the end of the day, outside of that, there's a certain level of respect that I get as being a cis black woman. And what bothers me is recognizing that if you or I, if anything was to happen to you or I today, God forbid, the story is different, right? The ways that people talk about you and I is different. And that's the reason why I fight the way that I do, is because I know that we live in a world where Black women are not all treated differently. And if you was to go another layer, not only am I, look, this is the only black wig I have, okay? I'm a black girl from the hood. So people got something to say about my nails. They got something to say about my hair color usually. They got something to say about the way that I talk. They got something to say about the way that I dress. You know, I identify as a witch. I'm very spiritual. That is cultural. People got a problem with my spirituality. So I think for me, it's recognizing that, and this is rooted in colorism. I'm also not light skinned. I'm not a palatable black woman, right? You're not light skinned. So it's recognizing that while there are privileges and there's commonality, there also are things that does make people treat us differently, and we got to bring that to the forefront.
Come on. And I love what you just said about, the hair texture, the hair color, and things like that, because that goes on. And it's been a whole conversation, and we're going to get into that Miss Kim Kardashian in a minute, because I talk a lot about cultural appropriation. And I think you said something about that on the show as well, too. And I'm going to say this, Black women, we are the culture. And you see me and Jules. Yes, features, the lips, the body shape. It's like they created and carved out a whole blueprint of us to emulate themselves. And we'll talk about that because that kind of ties into anti-blackness, colorism. But one thing you said, and that is hair texture, and oh, she talks too loud, she's this, which is what I like to call the ABW, the angry black woman narrative. Whenever a black woman speaks out, look at what they did to Monique for Netflix and all the other projects that she's had. They labeled her as difficult to work with. Whenever a black woman in general, Gabrielle Union is another example. Whenever we speak out about something and we're being mistreated in the workplace, we're being looked at as, oh, she's aggressive, she's difficult to work with, oh, she's a bitch, she's this, that, and the third and the other. Well, Iyanla Vanzant redefined the word bitch, and that means being in total control of herself, and that I am. So if me standing up for myself as a woman makes you intimidated, and I've had most men that refuse to come on the platform because they're intimidated at how outspoken I am. They're not used to a woman that is, at the front leading, which is what black women do in this country. They're not used to that. So they will just be like, okay, she's doing too much. She's aggressive. She's bitter. She's the angry black woman.
But you know what the fact is? It's like, the reason why I don't like the angry black woman stereotype is because it doesn't one, understand why there's anger behind it. So it removes the why. And then two, it doesn't allow us to be nuanced and layered. So it doesn't allow for me to be seen as soft. And it doesn't allow for me to be seen as humorous. Like, I'm silly. I'm more than that. But if you go back to that first part, in terms of being angry, I am angry. I am angry that I live in a world where I have to fight to be seen and to be heard. I am angry that I live in a world where I'm not respected. Right? Like, I am angry by that. I am angry that black women make less. I am angry that it's harder for me and people who look like me. I am angry on behalf of Breonna Taylor. I am angry on behalf of black women, right? So I want to name that, like, one, it's okay to be angry. And I'm sure people of all cultures get angry, okay? But the angry black woman stereotypes just makes it seem like you have to be together at all times. Because I can literally be, like, on the show. I literally get so much, like, people are like,
you talk passionate. Yes.
I talk passionately, right? But specifically when I talk about my pro-blackness, and that's going to be coming a little bit down the line in my interaction with someone on the show who isn't black. Everyone wants to focus on me asking this person what ethnicity she was. But no one's focusing on the many times that they've seen us hug and interact and laugh and share conversation together. No one's seeing my softness. No one's seeing my niceness. They only want to see the attitude. They only want to see the turn up. So my whole thing is, like, what are you choosing to see about me? Because I'm many things. What are you choosing to focus on? And then why aren't you recognizing that if I'm a little like, oh, why am I like that? What happened to me? What happens to black people? What happens to black women that make us be this way, right? maybe if you listen, we wouldn't have to be as loud.
And then when we do talk in a subtle tone like this, Amanda Seals, she said this. When we do talk in a tone like this, they seem as though, oh, she's coming off as aggressive. And now, as far as the hair is concerned, that's
Mm-hmm.
microaggressions because we know that that's been around during the slavery era. The wives, the wives' masters, their hair was straight, whereas we out there picking cotton in the fields and stuff, we had to wrap our hair up. And now that black women have gotten class like us and we've getting our hair done and doing all of these things, but when Becky over here does it, it's okay, which ties into cultural appropriation, which is the next
Yes.
part of the conversation, which will lead into
Yes.
colorism as well too.
Mm-hmm.
I look at women like Grace Jones, Viola Davis. I look at women like Pam Grier, growing up in this era, Holly Berry, all of these are women of color. And for me, being the representation and seeing the representation of Black beauty, I'm like, okay, we talk about what is Black beauty. These women are Black beauty. But when we talk
Mm-hmm.
about what society sees as beautiful, we know it's not going to choose women that look like us. They're going to choose
Right.
a woman that is going to be of a lighter hue. So
Yes.
colorism and these racially ambiguous looking women out here, they're going to get all of the accolades. They're going to get all of the praises. Whereas women like us, like you said in the beginning of the interview, they're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole
Yep.
and they're going to be disrespected. And I can give you a prime example of women who have faced colorism. Look at what they did to Lil' Kim. Throughout the years, I've noticed that her features
Ooh.
has changed. And this is
Right.
because black men that are black male rappers, cis black male rappers, have dogged her out on her looks throughout the years. And we've noticed the
Mm.
facial change, the skin lightening, and all of these things. Like she was beautiful when she first came out. And
Right.
now you have OG from Basketball Wives. We've seen how the whole scenario played out for this woman who said that there was colorism. And you have Evelyn and Shawnee who denied it all of a sudden so they won't look like colorists. And what
Mm.
a colorist is someone who always goes for the lighter complexion.
Right.
They always go for the lighter complexion, but when it's women like us, they do not find us as desirable. They hypersexualize us, just as though they do with Meg Thee Stallion, just as
Yes.
though they do with Foxy Brown, just as
Yes.
though they do with anybody that they would want to qualify as mammified. Jill Scott is another one.
Mm.
Lizzo is another one. They
Mm-hmm.
hypersexualize the darker skinned black woman, whereas a woman of a lighter hue would be more desirable. And we've seen it even with some of these basketball players. They always go for a racially ambiguous woman. And speaking of racially ambiguous women, Kim Kardashian and her family has caught in backlash for blackfishing. And
Yes.
it's offensive. In a way, it's blackface, but you're just glamorizing the term.
Yes.
And we've seen them go to extents to change up their features, especially Chloe with the lips. And we're just like, who is this doesn't look like Chloe. The only ones that I can think of,
Unrecognizable.
yes, the only ones that I can think of that have not changed up their features would be Courtney and Kendall.
Yeah.
Why is it that Kim and Chloe are out here changing up their features to look exactly like us?
Yeah.
Why is it that you're stealing the caricature of a black woman? We have full lips. We're known for our full lips. We're known for our vibracious attitude, the way a black woman sways in the room, the way we walk in the room, our shape, our curves is undefeatable. You can't duplicate that. And the thing
But they
is,
trying. Whew.
yes. And they benefit and make millions and millions of dollars off of it. Whereas black women, as you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, we don't see those dollar signs.
Yeah. We don't see those dollar signs. Cultural appropriation and colorism, those are things that I think about regularly. And I mean, you made such valid points. Now, I will say that to go to Lil Kim, that's my
I
Brooklyn.
love her too, girl.
I love it. Like when I was a kid, the Crush on You video, I was like, wait, black girls could do blue hair and red hair and yellow hair and
Come on.
like she literally was like iconic for me, right? Now, when I think about Lil Kim specifically, I feel more so thinking about what caused that to happen. So my blame is less
Yes.
more so on her but I'm thinking of like, who are the people who said these things to her? Who are the people who made these comments? And then thinking about like, ooh, internalized anti-Blackness is so real. So I feel like my view on Lil' Kim is more so just like, you know, she need a healing. You know what I mean? Like, somebody save sis. Like, that's my vibe on her, because at the end of the day, colorism, and when people keep poking and prodding at how you look,
Girl.
it's if you're in media for so long, people will pick on every single thing. Why your eyebrows look like that? Why your eyes shape is like that? Why your nose is like that? Why your hair is like that? So for me, I feel like I blame the culture that makes it so that Black women and femmes get rid of. Because Kim Kardashian, you know, as a person who is raising biracial children, is not understanding the impact, right? She's posting about, oh, you know, she passed the baby bar exam and like she's about to be a future lawyer. Well, how about you put the law books down, and how about you just take stock on the ways that you are appropriating Black culture, okay? How about you just take that law book down and take stock about you are raising a biracial, you're raising biracial children. But let's go to your daughter, right, who is identifying as a daughter now. We don't know how the child's going to identify when they get older, who is looking at their mother be a digital blackface person. Take a step. I also want to say that the Black people around Kim Kardashian, I wouldn't blame it on Black people, but I think it's worth a conversation to have a call-in conversation and say, hey, you over here doing cornrows, you over here doing this, you doing that. We need to have a conversation, because what happens is that people who are doing digital blackface, they're getting egged on by Black people. You know who's braiding their hair? Black people. I braid hair. And what you would never ever have me do is have these Black hands be in some white hair cornrow in somebody's shit. Absolutely not. Actually, when I was braiding people's hair, I literally was only braiding 4C hair. I literally was like, if you don't got this type of texture, I ain't even braiding it. So I think that there's so many different ways that we can combat blackfishing. And it's not only the person who's doing it, but it's the people who's around, who's allowing it to happen as well.
Absolutely. And someone mentioned that in the comments as well, too. Let me scroll back to that comment.
Oh, no.
Diva One says, in addition, some of the Kardashians claiming to innovated Black hairstyle, stealing from Black design. Yes, like it was Chloe. She was rocking the cornrows, and she called them what? Boxer braids. Now you know Black women is responsible for that. And just stealing our aesthetic, the lips. Kylie, I used to use Kylie's makeup, but now I said, you know what? I've already got full lips, so just go ahead and find a Black-owned cosmetics brand, and that's why I use. Shout outs to my girl M Cosmetics. She's in Atlanta, and she has a Black-owned cosmetics company. So definitely, that's what I've been supporting is Black-owned cosmetics brands, you know. And then when they get called out on it, oh no, it's not blackface, it's not this, it's not giving cultural appropriation, when it is. And we've seen this on television shows like, what was it, Mixed-ish and Grownish. I've called out Kenya Burris for producing these shows that only feature a light-skinned cast, where it doesn't feature women like myself or Jewel, women that look like us. The only one that I can think of on that cast would be Marsai Martin. Mm-hmm. That would be the only one. The rest of the family is that. So colorism has been around for a very long time. And we can go back into sitcoms and even cartoons, the Proud Family. Who do we know that is the loudmouth best friend that has blonde hair?
Yep. Dejanay. We know about Dejanay. And the thing is, I mean, we see that. We want to go to sitcoms, right? Like, we saw that in Martin.
Yes.
We saw that all up and through. And the thing is, people sometimes I think really grapple with it, because people are like, well, when it comes to colorism, they're like, well, you're still Black, even though you're light skinned, you're still Black. But the thing is, you have to understand, because I do a lot of racial equity, diversity, and inclusion training. I'm literally training people and having conversations with people who are saying, in order for me to get this job, in order for me to excel and to get promoted at my job,
Assimilate.
they have to assimilate. So you have Black people having to assimilate and shrink, change how they speak, change their hair texture to go into a job interview to get the job. But then you have white people coming in with cornrows and they get a clap. They get a wow, look at you being woke. First of all, white people can't be woke when they're the nightmare. Colonizers are the nightmare. How are you going to be woke? How are you going to be woke? So I feel like there's a lot of layers to it. Now, I will say with Mixed Dish, I watched that show, and one thing I will say about Mixed Dish that I do like is that they highlight these pieces. They highlight the parts around colorism, because I feel like there needs to be more shows like Mixed Dish that puts on the forefront this that light skin shit. That's because your daddy white. That's because we need to name it. And I feel like Mixed Dish is a show that unapologetically names. It doesn't gloss over colorism. It discusses colorism. It talks about how not only, well, that one is a mixed conversation, but we know Black people, even if both your parents is Black and you're still light skinned, you're still benefiting from colorism. I feel like
Yes.
that show addresses it. It brings it to the forefront. Like, I remember watching it and being like, yes, say that out loud. You know what I mean? Let's talk about that. Because growing up, I was very upset. Going back to sitcoms again, I was very upset when they swapped out dark-skinned Harriet for light-skinned Harriet.
My wife and kids too.
My wife and kids did it. Fresh Prince did it. Dark-skinned Vivian, who looked better, acts better, had a better, just vibe, swapped it out for light-skinned, boring Vivian. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, there's a swapping and there's a preference for light-skinned people when they didn't even do anything but just be light-skinned. They're not more attractive because you're light-skinned. You're not smarter because you're light-skinned. You know what I mean? Like, there's this thing where it's like the default is light-skinned people, and that's a problem, even in 2021.
And it's still existing. Like, this has been going on since slavery. And if you guys pay attention to it, how crazy it is that this is still going on, like she said, in 2021. During slavery, they would put the darker skinned slaves out there in the fields, and what they would do with the light ones, they would be in the house. So
Yep.
it just goes to show you. It just goes to show you that our melanin, our beauty, our skin, they're willing to go and duplicate that to look exactly like us, even on Halloween. And I've read an article from Push Black, reading the racial undertones of some of these blackface and Halloween costumes, the extent. And I've seen it. I said, I hope nobody does blackface this Halloween. I was born on Halloween. So I said, I hope nobody does blackface. And then come to find out, you got a Republican candidate doing blackface. So I said, wow, it's still going on.
It is. And I feel like even if people aren't going as far as to put on digital blackface, they're now adapting our vernacular. They think like, it's lit, what's the tea, this and that, which is not only, adapting a Black scent, right? But it's also adapting, emulating Black femmes, Black queer people, but yet you don't like Black women, you don't like Black femmes, and you don't like Black queer people. You know how many homophobic people out here talking about what's the tea, girl? That's a queer term. So here you are using this, right? Appropriating and whatever, and like, you don't even, do you support the community? No. So it's definitely it's a conversation worth having, because I think people need to understand, like, it's more than appreciating. Black people are lit, so of course you want to be like us, okay? Of course you want the full lips and the big hair, and you want to talk, and we come up with all types of stuff. If you think about nah mean breaks down, do you know what I mean? And Black people are able to say nah mean in one thing. We know exactly what that means, right? It's quick, it's easy, we're smart, we're innovative. That's not the issue. The issue is you can appreciate Black culture without having to appropriate Black culture. And I think that's the challenge, right? So go back to Kim Kardashian. You love cornrows, cool. Your daughter is mixed race, then put some cornrows on her. You yourself don't have to put cornrows in. Right? It's a way for you to do it. You like black art? Have a black artist, pay for some black art, have it hung up in your house. But you
Exactly.
yourself don't have to start talking, sounding, dressing, dating our people in order for us. Because listen, like I said it with the word, they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
Come on.
Because if they was to say, you know what, all the black people right back on the plantation. Let me tell you how many of these white people are gonna be like, excuse me, I'm not black. Their voice is gonna change.
Uh-huh.
I'm black, but wait, hold on. You was over here trying to be black. What's good? What happened? You know what I'm saying? You want it, but do you really want it? The answer is no. I guarantee you it's no. You get pulled over by the police? You want to be a black person then? Come on. You don't really want it. No, you don't. So just stay in your lane. That's it.
Absolutely. Marco says, I'm loving this conversation. Thank you, Marco, my co-host. Make sure you guys follow his podcast. This is Hear Me Out. We did an excellent interview yesterday. We're here with the beautiful Jewel the Gem. We're about to go into the final part of the conversation, and that is something that I've been talking about, and I'm pretty sure that Jewel, she's been talking about as well, and that is misogyny. Okay.
Whew.
We know how difficult it is for Black women to get jobs in the medical field. This pandemic going on, I've seen a lot of Black women at the forefront, taking care of everybody, making sure that everybody is all right. The mothers, the doctors, the nurses, everybody. We've seen people get turned down health care for going in there just to get a simple test or just to get checked out to see if everything is all right. We know that the medical system is not for Black women. Even we know that there's a high infant mortality rate with Black women, and even with pregnancies, the doctors turn them down. Mm-hmm. So we can't make this up. But why is it that when Black women go for positions that men qualify for, yes, hey, how you doing? When they go for these positions that men are qualified for, they go to somebody else.
Well, I feel like, okay, so for some people, because, misogynoir is specifically the hate, the disdain for Black women and femmes specifically. So, misogyny is the hate of Black, or women, right, and femmes. But misogynoir, which I directly speak to and relate to, is very specific because it's Black, right? Because it's like I don't only identify and live as a woman, but as a Black woman. I mean, is your question how do you deal with it? Is your question like, because I feel like there's so many different layers and so many different ways we can go when it comes down to misogynoir. So yeah, where you want to go with it?
Yes, misogynoir is a thing because they go for they say, oh well, she looks a certain way, she looks this way, and this could go to another woman of another position, and we know that women of a darker hue basically face misogynoir, and I can give us few examples. Our former First Lady, Michelle Obama, for years, they have traumatized this woman. They call this woman a gorilla and everything. They put this woman down. Well, she was just there doing her job. Serena Williams is a victim of it. JT from the City Girls, Tiana Taylor, Meg Thee Stallion, when the situation with Tory Lanez happened.
I would say that every Black woman or femme is feeling it.
Misogynoir,
whether they know they're feeling it or not. So yeah, I think it's definitely something, and I think that I know for me a way to manage it is I name it. And I name it a lot. I'd be like, oh, that's misogynoir right there. Your hate for Black women is popping out. And I name it because I feel like it's important to say and articulate out loud what the hell you're doing. It's important for me to name your behavior. And I will say it over. And I will say it over and over. And I would only stop once you stop the misogynoir. Right? And I feel like for me as a way to manage it, when it comes at me from so many different directions, because it's coming at me from Black people. It comes at me from other Black women and femmes. It comes at me because the thing is, and I know, you watch the Circle Atlanta. A lot of the people who don't like me are other Black women. And it's interesting because some people, because misogynoir and because the patriarchy is so strong,
Whew.
that it will have it so that Black women and Black femmes are fighting against each other, all to uphold the Black man, all to uphold the patriarchy. And it's sad. That should be like, it's gaga go bull, okay? But at the same time, the way that I manage it is to surround myself exclusively and unapologetically with people who uplift me. If you are not for me, I'm not for you. Simple as that.
Come on.
I'm not the, oh, I love thy neighbor. When they go low, I go high. I'm not that girl. If you fuck with me, I fuck with you. If you don't, I don't got no love for you. Straight like that. And it's unfortunate. The default for Black people is to love Black people. That's the default for me.
Unity,
For
exactly.
me. But when I see or when I read or when you pull up on me and you express that you don't got love for me as a Black woman, well then let me tell you how I pull that shit back. You ever play Black Heart Revolt?
Mm-hmm.
You ever revoke that shit? You got to revoke it because that's a way to protect your peace. If we are out here as Black women and femmes and we're loving everybody who hates us, I don't think that's really the way to combat misogynoir. I think it's to name it, and I think it's to surround ourselves with people who love on us. Because I feel like we live in a world that they don't respect Black women. They just don't. They just do not respect Black women. So what does it mean to have respect for ourselves? And what does it mean to surround ourselves with like-minded people who also love and respect us too?
And what's sad that you mentioned, Jewel, is that it's Black women that are having a hatred towards you because sis, this is my thing right here. Sis, she's speaking up for you. She's speaking up for me. When we all know that these Black men out here, at the end of the day, they will have more power and privilege. And I made a joke about it. I said, it seemed kind of corny. I said, well, to these Black men that are looking to hold power and privilege and uphold patriarchy, like when T.I. did the whole thing with his daughter, a mess, girl. I said, this is upholding patriarchy right here. This is
Yes.
patriarchy one on one, wanting to have control over what a woman. Look at what they're doing in the government and the state house. And I'm just like, y'all trying to take away a woman and LGBT people's rights to their bodies.
Yes.
Like, what are you
Yes.
doing? You're trying
Yes.
to uphold these same values that they are holding on to. And it's sad that our own community as Black people is doing this.
It's very
And
sad. It's very sad. But white supremacy did that. White supremacy made us hate each other. White supremacy
yes,
made us hate ourselves. So when I hear or when I feel that hate from people who look like me and who I'm fighting for, I literally be like, look what white supremacy did to you. Look what the patriarchy did to you. You need to free yourself. You need to free yourself. Are you willing to divest from white supremacy? Are you willing to divest from internalized anti-Blackness? Are you willing to internalize, you know what I mean? Remove yourself from the shit that makes you hate people that love you. That's horrible. Because I know that I put myself on the front lines. I've literally had the police pick my body up as a Black woman, pick me up and throw me across the room as I am fighting for Black people. But yet Black people don't like me. Why? Why? It makes no sense. And it's internalized anti-Blackness, and that is white supremacy. Let me tell you, white people, when they see Black people fighting with each other, they love it. They love that shit. Just because not every straight, there's some layers. But the homophobic people, they love when they see the queer community fighting. They love it. They're like, look at them go. So are you willing to still be a pawn and be a puppet? Or are you willing to free yourself and love the people who love on you? And so that's what
come
I
on.
start to realize. And I'll be like, y'all need a healing. Y'all need a healing because y'all don't love yourselves. And your energy is stank. So when people have stank energy and they don't love themselves, I kindly remove myself. At least learning to do that a little bit more. I do educate and I do a little bit and then I leave. But at the end of the day, I really shake my head because Harriet Tubman wasn't able to save everybody. And you know why? It's because they were not willing to be free. People literally was like, no, Harriet, I was happy you on the plantation.
That slave mentality.
Her own
Mm-hmm.
husband was like, nah, I'm good. So for me, I can't help everybody. I can't save everybody. If you want to be locked up in white supremacy, do it. But I'm free. I'm on the freedom side. Okay, I love trans people. I love the queer community. I love Black people unapologetically. And when people don't have that same energy back, it's giving slave mentality. And they really might want to break the shackles off their feet so they could dance. Because Mary said it right.
Yes.
Mary said it right. You got to break the shackles off your feet so you can dance, okay? Shit.
And that's 400 years of oppression. 400 years of oppression. And I said this just the other day. And that is, we have a lot to unpack and we have a lot to unlearn in order for us to move forward, to heal. Because right now we are oppressing our own people, which is LGBT people and Black women and disabled. That's the three marginalized groups. So we have to make sure.
For sure. Absolutely.
Now, as far as misogynoir goes, even with Stacey Abrams, I'm seeing what people are doing to her. And this woman is out here doing her job. So I say, wow, if this was Kamala Harris, and they're both Black women, they're both women of color. But we see how society would treat Kamala versus how they would treat Stacey. So yes, do I see colorism? Absolutely. And I also see misogynoir as well too. So you can be doing your job the correct way and they will still say, oh, you're not qualified for this because you're a woman. There are some men who have that misogynistic mindset, like a T.I. who doesn't believe that a woman can be the head of the house. Like when he went to jail and Tiny was there doing everything, it was just like, well, you can't really have no say so. And this has been that thing in the household for years, the Black household. The man brings home the bacon. That's just how it is.
Do they? Because in my household, my dad didn't bring home shit. Do they?
That's another thing. Black men, and that's not to bash, but some have been creating broken homes.
And the thing is, you know, when Black men specifically don't love Black women and respect Black women, that's really because they have a lot of unhealed mom issues. They have a lot of unhealed issues with how they believe women should be, but a lot of times, oftentimes, it's because of their mother figure or the woman in their life who raised them, right? And I think that there's a lot of layers to that because people need a healing.
Okay? Yes.
But I think that we need to, you know, I think that the Black family is, you know, there's so many jokes, you know, especially around Thanksgiving. It's like Black families be like and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is that so many Black family is not a monolith. My particular Black family did not have the father be the head of the household. Did not have any man be the head of the household. So in my Black family, I learned that women hold it down. My mother was the one that worked at McDonald's, Burger King, then later became a home health aide and made $6 an hour and raised me and my brother with, you know what I mean? Like, and still sent us both to college and we graduate. Like, so at the end of the day, it's like, says who that the Black man holds what down? That's not everybody's story. So I think that that's another thing too, is like recognizing that Blackness, although we have some commonalities, you know what I'm saying? We all got the plastic bags underneath the kitchen counter, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We all do. There's some Black ass things that we have in common, but the way that we were raised is not all the same because there's children. You know, I was raised by a single mom, but there's children who were not raised by an adult. They raised themselves. They were a parentified child. So imagine how it is growing up and you didn't have any parental figure. There just has to be a point where we recognize that the Black community and the Black experience, there's layers within it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so for T.I. to not respect the fact that the amount of Black men that are in prison and that the women in their family, whether it be their baby mama, their wife, their mama, their grandmama, their great grandmama, that's holding down the household but gets no respect, is ridiculous to me. Ridiculous to me. It makes no sense to say that the Black woman doesn't deserve respect when we're the pillar and the backbone of the family. You know, it's just, It's this is what I'm saying. People don't really understand their history. People don't, like I said, they don't love themselves. They don't love their mama, and it shows. It shows. It really does. Because the level of disrespect that I've experienced specifically from Black men, that I would say this year alone, makes me reflect on the fact that I have a brother. And if my brother was to ever speak to a Black woman the way that people have spoken about me, I would pull up on his ass in his condo in Jersey and be like, who raised you? Because this is not going down like this. So there needs to be a community accountability to make sure that Black women are continually respected and continually uplifted and continually protected. Because when I walk into a room, I deserve and command respect, period. Just simply because I am. I don't got to do shit. I am, so I deserve respect, period. When you walk into a room, Stevie, automatically you deserve respect. It don't matter what you do, how much money you make, what color your skin tone. You deserve respect because of who you are and the identities you hold, period. Automatically. Wouldn't we give respect to people? I'm not a politician person. People give automatically respect to the president just because he's a fucking president. So why the fuck don't we give respect to Black women and femmes when we walk into a room just because we're Black women and femmes and we hold it down? I'll be going for days.
Exactly. Even more deplorable, T.I. didn't have any problem with this. Yes, the double standard. For his son, it was almost like a celebration. But if it was his daughter and then come to find out she wasn't even doing anything. So again, it's patriarchy. You know, Black men wanted to hold on to that power. So the same thing that white men are doing to us, Black men, not all, but some are doing to us. And that's upholding patriarchy. I have to have the power. I'm the man of this household. And that's not the case. Like Jewel just said, you know, everybody grew up different. We're all not the same. But we have one thing in common, and that is we're Black. We're Black.
That's it. And, you know, it's interesting because when you're saying this, it's making me think about, and let me tell you, my memory will not allow for me to remember this Black man's name. But there is a Black man on Instagram, and if anybody's listening in real time and you could drop it in the comments, or if Stevie, you know this, let me know. But there's a Black man on Instagram who I believe has like over 1 million followers. And he has Black women hop in on the live, and he degrades them. And he belittles them.
Kevin Samuels.
There you go. And he tells them, and watch me forget it because my brain will not allow for me to say his name and remember his name. But this is the Black man who has managed to maintain his page, has managed to maintain his following solely as he puts his foot on the necks of Black women. As he tells them that they are worthless. And Black women,
average at best. No, girl, he said one of them is average at best.
Oh yes. And the Black women sign up for it. They come on, they hop on the live. I'd be damned if a Black man or any person in general is going to sit here and tell me that I am unworthy. Who the fuck are you? So we live in a world where literally that's his brand. His brand is to put his foot on the neck of Black women. What the fuck? And his page is up, but yet sex workers, dark-skinned sex workers, their page is taken down because they decide to monetize off of how they want to celebrate their bodies. But this man gets to have a following? Come on. This is the world that we live in. This is the hate that we have for Black women as a society, where his brand is literally meant to oppress Black women unapologetically. Blows my
and I'm going to add on to that as well, too. I think he hates his mom. I think Kevin Samuels hates his mother. Because the same thing that he wanted to say to his mother, he is going to say to these Black women. You are literally going to be a whooping post if you go on his platform. And the thing about it is, as women, we have to know our worth, not just, oh, well, like a price tag. Shout outs to Simply Put. She talked about it on her YouTube channel. She said we don't have to put a price tag on our work, but know our worth for us as Black women. We are queens. We are Nubian queens. We are goddesses at the end of the day. And Big Sean just the other day made a comment, and now Twitter checked him on it because they called him out here with some racially ambiguous looking women. He made a comment, and that's one true. Black women are the closest thing to God. That's what he said, and we are. We are the providers.
It's a
We are the
reflection.
fixers of situations. We bring things together. It's just like Jules said a minute ago, and that is the Black woman, the mothers out here. They are the head of the household that are making sure that everything is ran tight. Yes, the fathers that are there, that are present, they do their job as well too, but we are a working force together, and that's what brings a Black family together, knowing that you got the mom, the dad, and everybody doing their part, and that's how it should be. Not nobody absent, and you out here creating broken homes. Nick Cannon, the womb raider.
You said the womb raider? And for me, honestly, I don't think, for me, I feel like my mom made a very poor decision in choosing my sperm donor. She did. I love my mama, but she really did not choose a good man to be a father to me. However, without, a little bit of his stuff, I wouldn't be here today. So here it is. But I don't personally believe that people are better or worse because they have a mother and a father and things like that. I do believe that if you contributed to bringing the child into the household, into this world, you need to be contributing financially, spiritually, emotionally to their upbringing. But to be quite honest with you, I would have been even more traumatized if my father would have been like an actual person who would have been like in my household, because woo child. So I'm not saying that makes people better, but I think that people need to just think about how much they're contributing, right? And how people just get to get up and leave people who have babies, right? Like, one of the things that really bothers me, like when I watch different shows and stuff, they'll talk about like certain reality shows. They're like, oh yeah, like the person who brought the baby into the world, they don't leave the other parent with the baby. They're like, oh no, it's my baby, and I'm over here been like, wait a minute, this is interesting. So like, it's two people in here. Why is it only one person? And then like the father or whatever would be like, well, I don't have time to babysit the kid. What do you mean babysit the kid? This is your kid.
Exactly.
Like, why is it always like mommy's baby, daddy's maybe? So we can go on and on with that part, but I think that it's just this idea of, if we want to buy in it, because it's a very binary conversation, it's a very hetero conversation. So I want to say, like, it's not adding the layers of nuance, because we know that trans people can, two trans people can have babies, and
yes,
stuff like that. So we don't want to erase that, but we are talking about the society that we live in, that is the overarching, who gets the privileges, who things are designed for. It is cis, hetero, and it's rooted in the patriarchy, right? And it is rooted in the binary. So I think that a lot of it is recognizing, like, how do we move from that? How do we have conversations that move away from only thinking about a two-parent household, man and woman, whatever, right? Like, how do we move out of that, even within the queer community?
We got a lot to unlearn, a lot to unpack, and we did that just in this live. So I hope you guys all were paying attention. There's one of your castmates. Hey, Tay.
Look, sometimes he likes me, sometimes he don't. So we'll see.
Hey, Tay.
I showed him mad love throughout the show. So, he's a dope rapper. I definitely was bopping out to him. So, we'll see how it goes.
And thank you again to Circle ATL. Make sure you guys tuned, and make sure you guys go and subscribe. This was an amazing conversation that I had with the beautiful Jewel the Gem. We always got love for you here, girl.
Thank you.
So y'all, please make sure y'all follow her. Follow B-Hawk Snipes, the beautiful B-Hawk Snipes. Make sure you guys, Tay is still here. Thank you, Tay. Tay is working on some things. I can't really get into it, but Jewel, I'm going to let you close it out. Is there anything you would like to give to empower our community? What words would you like to give to the people in our community, just on keeping their head up? Because I know it's difficult. You're in the holiday blues. People have lost family members, loved ones, and things like that throughout this pandemic.
I feel like, one thing that I would share is that, specifically for the Black, I feel like everybody knows I was going to say that, the Black, the Black, BLACK, all caps, the Black queer and trans community, I feel like my message and my loving thoughts and, you know, for them, for us during this time is recognizing, like, yes, we have our biological family, which is, well, you know, it has our ups and our downs, but to know that we are worthy and deserving of all of the love that we want to give to other people. Like, we're worthy of receiving that back, and we get to curate the type of love that we want. So if your best friend is your family, that's cool. If that person, you know, you follow somebody and every day they give you inspiration and you like, that's my sister in my head, that's your sister in your head. You get to curate the type of love that you want to see because you deserve it, regardless of your gender, regardless of all of that. And to know that your pronouns, okay, you're they, them, he, him, she, her, you know, all of your pronouns are meant to be respected. And to know that, you know, as a Black queer and trans person, you're going to always have me fighting for you. So that's my message.
Y'all
Total
remember
blessing.
that? Shout outs to the Circle ATL, shout outs to Tay, shout outs to B Hawk, and shout outs to the beautiful Jewel the Gem. Make sure you guys please go and follow her and check out The Word, which is an amazing platform. Make sure you guys always continue to stand firm in your truth. And more importantly, I'm going to say this once and for all, protect Black women, stand up for us. That's all we ask. And if we did something, call us out and hold us accountable. Like Jewel said in the beginning, it's about accountability, and we have to do this together as a unit. We love you
Absolutely.
all. Y'all take care. Jewel, it was amazing. Your
It was
energy is
great.
everything.
Thank you so
Girl,
much, Stevie. Thank you so
you are
much.
so welcome.
Thank
And we'd
you.
love to have you back on again, too. It was so
Let
much
me
fun.
know when. Let me know
I
whenever it
definitely
is.
will.
All right. Have a good
Take
one.
care, girl.
Take care.